Hello guys, it's Eric with the Film Photography channel. Let's talk about how to get started in film photography. Okay, so to get started in film photography, the first obvious step would be to choose a camera. There's a lot of different ways you can go about acquiring a camera. Obviously, you can go to eBay because you're probably looking at buying something that's 30, 40, 50, 90 years old. So make sure there's like a return policy there. And I made a video on how to go about choosing a film camera that kind of goes over the different formats and everything. Most folks are probably going to start with a 35 millimeter, which is fine. You can always try different formats down the road. 35 millimeter is a great place to get started. And in terms of choosing a camera, my school of thought is get what you want. Okay, get the type of camera that you want. Some of us older folks that film used to be like called photography. They didn't call it film photography because that was the only medium for photographing. Used to see these cameras that we couldn't afford, or I know that's certainly the case with me. So I've kind of made up for that in a big way with all the cameras that I got laying around here. Another way is your parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, relatives out there that may have some old film cameras still laying around that they don't use anymore. They've moved on to digital, or just using their phone or what have you. So that's also a great resource. But at the end of the day, go ahead and just find a camera. You literally can buy a film camera for pennies. Once we get past that, something I really wanted to discuss is the selection of film. Now, the cool part about film photography is that you can pick a film for a given situation, or for like a given mood. If you're feeling a certain way, you may sounds weird, but yeah, it may be a day that you feel like shooting black and white film. And to go beyond that, there's different types of black and white film. I mean, this is T-Max, as you can see, and this is Tri-X. Now, T-Max and Tri-X are both black and white films that have vastly different qualities. T-Max is a T-grain film. That's why it's called T-Max. It's a tabular grain film that gives you these very sharp photos with lots of tonal detail. Tri-X, on the other hand, is a block grain film. So the little tiny film grains are kind of block shaped, cube shaped, or what have you. They give you that grainy, journalistic type of rendering. Now, T-Max, or Tri-X rather, because it is grainy, don't think that it's actually not a sharp film, because it's actually a very sharp film. Somehow the grain and the sharpness live in the same space. That's kind of why what makes it really unique. And there's other types of film, black and white, films out there, but those are the two basic categories. Are your sharp, tonal black and white film, and then your grainy, but still, just good, cool looking black and white films. And I know some folks that only shoot black and white. I mean, literally, that's all they ever load in their film camera. That's all they've got in the fridge is black and white film. And that's, I think, kind of a cool way to look at it, because you get to know black and white so well. And I know some folks that only shoot one type of black and white film. So that becomes really, it changes your vision. It changes the way you look at something when you're looking through the lens of your camera. Now all of a sudden you're looking and thinking in black and white. When you shoot black and white, it's more about shapes, contours. It's more about contrast, the shadows and lines. You start noticing the contours and the shapes and everything that were in that scene that you just photographed. With film, you don't have the option, to take a color photo and then change it into black and white in Photoshop or Lightroom, whatever, later on. That's just not an option. So, and that's kind of part of the beauty of film photography to me as well, is that you are locked in to whatever your choice is. You made a choice to put 100 speed black and white, T-Max film in your camera, and that's what you're gonna, that's the picture you're gonna take. You're gonna take a bunch of black and white photos. So, given that you don't have any choice, you start really looking at the world differently. This is one of my modern favorites right here, is Kodak's Ektar 100. To me, this film replaced slide film. I'm not a fan of slide film. And Ektar, to me, gives me the same qualities that you get from your slide film, very, very sharp lines. You know, it's a very sharp film, and it's a very saturated, colorful film. It kind of leans towards the reds a little more, and it's I think it's a wonderful film. My all-time favorite film, and I'll just say it's my all-time favorite classic film because this film was discontinued. I want to say in 2013. This is Fuji's Superior Reala. It's a 100-speed film, sharp as all get out. It develops really, really well, even though it's, you know, very very old in terms of when it expired. I keep it in the freezer. I've got probably 10 or 15 rolls of it. I really sought this film out on eBay a lot last year, and I think I amassed like 25 rolls of it because it's dwindling. I mean, some of these rolls sell for like 10, 15, 20, 25 bucks. I've never paid that much for a roll, but I've seen them, you know, people trying to sell them for $25 and $50 even sometimes. That's two basic categories. I'll throw this other one in here is your cheapo. Let's call this a cheapo film. Kodak Color Plus, Fuji Extra 400, 200, whatever. Those are your cheap films that are still very good films. Okay, the fact that you can buy a roll of this Color Plus, I think for like $3.99 or something like that. Same thing with Extra, $3.99, $4.99. I think the 24 frame roll is $3.99, and then the 36 is like probably $5.99. But in any case, it's you know, cheaper probably by half versus like Ektar or something like that. I think Ektar is going for about $10 now, 8 to 10. I don't know. I haven't bought Ektar for a long time because I've got so much of it in the fridge. But yeah, the cheap film, the inexpensive film, let's call it, is really good film still. What makes it the drugstore cheap film versus the professional film is a couple of things. These films are made with the intention of the user to, you know, take a few photos, leave it sitting around in the camera for a while, for a week or two, or till the next holiday or whatever, take some more photos, and who knows, from the time they actually expose the film to the time they actually develop it, it could be weeks, it could be a month. And so these films are made or aged, which is a thing, to be in their prime a lot later than the professional films. The professional films come to you primed and ready to take. The thinking being that professional films are going to be exposed and developed soon thereafter, if not the same day, you know, certainly the same week, or very soon thereafter, let's just say. So that's the one difference with the, you know, the professional versus the consumer film. Another would be that the professional film is temperature monitored or kept at stored at a certain temperature. The professional film is stored at a cold temperature. I think I don't know the temperature, but it's, you know, it's stored at a nice cold temperature. Just think of that as the big difference between the consumer film and the professional film. Okay, but all that being said, at the end of the day, choose a film. Absolutely nothing wrong with a cheapo film. Grab a couple of these boxes. They sell them in 3 and 5 packs usually. I would get some of this stuff just to get started, and you know, and then go from there. Now, here's the other thing. Where are you going to get your film developed? I develop film at home. I've been developing film at home for years and years. I used to go to a drugstore. They have the 1 hour film developing. That's over. That's gone. I want to say it's been close to 10 years since drugstore developing shut down. They took the machines out. All they do now is just, you know, prints. Basically, there is no more developing. That's over. Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, you name it. They're all out of the film developing business. But that's a good thing because developing film is really inexpensive. 1 liter kit of Unicolor C41 powder is $39.95. When you develop film at home, it's a whole lot cheaper. The one kit, 1 liter kit says, I want to say it's good for like 8 rolls of 35 millimeter. No, I mean, I've done 20. So I don't recommend that you do that, but I've done it without any problem. 20 rolls, still going strong, but whatever. So then there's printing. I scan my film and then I print it on a printer. If I make prints at all, obviously most of us are just uploading to social media, or keeping them, keeping your photos on some type of like Apple Photos or whatever. I've got film cameras that are still sitting, that I still use rather, and they're sitting on my shelf behind me there, that I've had for more than 10 years, that are every bit as functional and every bit as fun to use as they were the day that I got them. Another thing about film photography, here's the thing. You can't really fiddle around a whole lot with a film camera. A film camera is got one purpose, and that is just to expose the right amount of light for the right amount of time to the film. That's literally the only purpose it serves. This camera that I'm using right now, it's a Sony A6400. That's what I'm recording this video on. I have played around with the settings on this camera until the battery died. Didn't take a single photo, just trying to figure out how the doggone thing works. It's a fine camera. I'm not bagging the A6400. It's the camera that I chose, so obviously I must like it. One of the things that I like most about film photography is that, given that you really don't have the option to play with the camera, it's not something you really play around with. I mean, imagine playing with a Leica. Okay, I changed the shutter speed, I changed the aperture, now what do I do? That's literally it. That's all you can do to a Leica, is change the shutter speed and the aperture, and of course load the film in it. But given that that's all you can really do, where does your focus go? Your focus now goes to your subject. And I think that's why some folks, when they start taking pictures on film, I think that's why they kind of get inspired, because it is literally not about anything else. You're not chasing focus points. You're not looking at, what is it called? Chimping. The chimping is, I think that's the right term, where you're constantly looking at, you take a picture, then you look at the screen, take a picture, you look at the screen. You don't have that option. You're not going to see your pictures until you develop your film. So your sole focus is your subject, is photography. And I really like that part of it. I think that's what I really, really like about film photography, is that it's singularly focused. And it's great fun. Okay, guys, so I hope you got some good information out of this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel and sharing my channel links on your social media. This is Eric with the Film Photography Channel. Thank you for stopping by.